I'm Julie Fei Fan Balzer, and though I haven't done too much traveling lately, I have great memories of places I've visited. And I also love maps. So I decided I could still make a map even though it's not about traveling far away. In fact, you can make a map about your very own neighborhood, a personal map. So I brought two with me and I want to show them to you. So the first one is about walks that I go on in my neighborhood. And you can see there are things like, this is the hill I don't want to walk up, or there's a ridiculous new build in my neighborhood that I often pass that was clearly very expensive. I clearly don't like hills because there's another really big hill I wrote about. But a personal map is really, it's a map that I guess someone could follow, but it's really more about the things that you remember. So for instance, I know to get to the park, I turn at the greenhouse. None of the other houses are important to me because I turn at the greenhouse and then I turn at the White House. And those are the ways that I remember things. Or even this Make It Artsy life here map that I've done. These are all the destination places that I have when I'm here. I know that I turn at the sign cluster. I even remember things like there's an Italian restaurant that I used to go to and now it's closed, but that's what I remember. So these are a way of expressing the world through your eyes, and they can be as crazy or as detailed as you want. So we're gonna jump right in with a pen. And all you need to do is figure out what your starting point is. So for instance, if your starting point is your house, you can just draw a little house, and it doesn't have to look like your house. And if you love your house, why not put a heart in it? Okay? And then think about it. What is the road that leads from your house? What's the first thing that you see? Okay, well, if I go out of my house just like this, what is the first thing that I see? There's a big street here. So I'm gonna write big street, right? Just like that. And then I know that if I go a little bit further, that there is a stop sign, okay? So you're just thinking about what are all the little things in your neighborhood that make it special. For instance, my neighbor has a gorgeous garden. So I look at it all the time, and it's right across the street from me. So I can draw some little flowers and maybe a leaf, and I can just say garden or pretty flowers. But you can get, again, very detailed. You could put your neighbor's name if you wanted to. You could put actual house numbers. You could put facts and things that you know. So like, for instance, I know that there's a dog that lives somewhere over here because I can hear it barking. So I can say dog somewhere here. Again, these are all personal memories of what you want. And if you want to try to draw a picture of a dog, you can. So you might have a face and ears that's looking more like a cat. Let's just flop those ears, looking like a bunny a little bit. But just go ahead, tongue out. There's a little body, little legs. It's a sad looking dog, but you get the idea. So then we can go ahead and say, I know that up here there's a big blue spruce that sometimes I walk past. So I can just put it up here, blue spruce. So then the next question, once you've put out some landmarks, is how do I get to the dog, to the blue spruce? Like, what are the lines and the worlds here? Now, again, this isn't a realistic map. You're not drawing something for somebody to try to get to the store. You're drawing something that's your memory. So when I think about this, I know that the dog is somewhere in this neighborhood, and I know that I somehow turn the corner around here. So that's enough of a road. And then the big street obviously must continue somewhere like this. And if I want to continue it even further, I can do that. And now this is giving a beautiful anchor line to our map. And I might want to fill in the big street with some little dividing line that it has. And again, not difficult drawing, just having fun working it out. So what are the other things? Well, I know that there's a park that's up here, and I can draw grass. It kind of looks like a zigzag stitch on a football. But I think the point of drawing is just to communicate a mood. And that's what we're doing. And when we add the color, it'll really make it clear. Because for right now, this could be a lake. But I can go ahead and write park. Yay, because we love to go to the park. So what's another thing in my neighborhood? I know that if I go this way, I go to the giant hill. And I can even make a joke out of it, because I could make a little bit of a mountain, even though I know it's not that big a hill. I'm just being a baby. Mostly I'm thinking about pushing the stroller up it. But I can say this is the giant hill. Because again, I think you're trying to communicate your personality. I believe that art should reflect very much your personality, who you are, and the things that you think of. So, as I said, there's this ridiculous, huge, brand new building that they've built. And to me, it isn't a house. It's just a giant box made out of money. So that's why it looks like this. And I'm just continuing to play around. You know, you can indicate things that are slightly beyond the road. So for instance, I want to say, what happens if you go further this way? Well, you're going to get into the downtown of the town that I live in. So to do that, I'm going to build some big buildings here. And again, just put some little windows in there like so. So you should think of your neighborhood or your walk, or you could do a map of your kitchen. You could do a map of your home, you know. You could make it whatever you wanted. It's a little bit like a food pyramid or something like that. So you can just sort of keep playing around with that. And then I think it's nice to make sure your map is balanced. This is a nice center line, but you want to make sure that you have things that are coming off sort of in every direction so that it always feels like it is definitely going somewhere, okay? Now, to add the text, here's what I do. I like to use a ruler so that I can draw some lines, not for any of this little text, personal style, but just for the really big text to make sure that it is straight. And then I'm ready to just go ahead in with some block letters and to say my. And again, block letters, you could do fancy letters. You could also take out your stamps if you don't feel comfortable with your handwriting and use your stamps. My walk area is what I'm going to say today. Now you'll notice that I'm not making an exact replica of the previous map that I made. And that's because this is a personal map and my feelings about it, my memory of it might change. In fact, a really fun thing to do would be to ask everybody in your family to do a map and see how they differ of the exact same area. You could even do this with your kids and say, you know, what do you notice? Where do we turn? All that kind of stuff. So once you have that, I love to use brush pens because they have these nice big tips and they allow you to do things like color very quickly. So you can see here, I'm literally coloring outside of the buildings instead of inside to kind of define them, and I'm using the side of the marker to do it. And this really creates a bright highlight there. I also find that you don't really need to paint inside the lines. I don't need to paint each of these leaves. I can just kind of run a little bit of green, maybe put a little more another color of green right there, and it gets colored very easily and it gets the idea across without having to be particularly exact. I often also like to color in, or highlight is what I would say, the text. So I'll use a lighter colored marker to go ahead and, almost like you would use a highlighter, go ahead and hit those things. Now, if I want to emphasize this giant hill, I might again use that method of going outside to go ahead and create my shape. And you can again color in as much or as little as you want. I also think it's fun to be fanciful. This is a blue spruce. We all know that a blue spruce is not actually blue, or is it? In my imagination, it totally can be blue. So I'm gonna go ahead and color it in totally blue. You can also use colored pencils if you want to go ahead and color things in. They add a nice different texture to your map, just like so. So the park is obviously not all yellow, so don't forget you can mix colors even when you're using colored pencils. Look at that nice green starting to come up from the mix of yellow and blue. And if I go over this again with some more yellow, it turns even more spectacularly green. So don't feel that you have to have all the colors of all of your tools. You can totally get away with just having a few colors and mixing them. And then like the dog somewhere here, I'm just gonna highlight that totally in gray there. And I can always come in later with a colored pencil or a white pen and really highlight what's happening just like that. So I like to take these and I'll often put them in a little frame on my wall, give them as a gift. If you're getting married, this is a great way to create a map to the ceremony location. These are fun gifts to give people. Maybe you and your grandparents go on a walk and maybe you associate, certain places with something. But these are really fun. I enjoy making them. I hope that you'll give it a try. Think of a map as something really personal and from the heart.